Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. I'm Nora Azura binti Muhammad Zulkifli Chin. You can call me Azura, and I am now persuading you to acknowledge that violent video games make people more violent. So, according to two studies appearing in the April issue of the American Psychological Association's APA Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, playing violent video games like Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, or Mortal Kombat can create an increasing number of a person's aggressive thoughts, feelings, and behavior, both in laboratory settings and in actual life. Furthermore, violent video games may be more harmful than violent television and movies because they are interactive and very engrossing, and at the same time require the player to identify with the aggressor. Plus, according to the experts, who are the psychologists who run the research, it reveals that young men who are habitually aggressive may be especially vulnerable to the aggression-enhancing effects of repeated exposure to violent games. The other study reveals that even a brief exposure to violent video games can temporarily increase aggressive behaviors in all types of participants. So, violent video games provide a forum for learning and practicing aggressive solutions to conflict situations. In the short run, playing a violent video game appears to affect aggression by priming aggressive thoughts to the player. For the longer-term effects are likely to be longer-lasting as well, as the player learns and practices new aggression-related scripts that can become more and more accessible for use when real-life conflict situations arise. One major concern is the active nature of the learning environment of the video game. Okay, so this medium is potentially more dangerous than exposure to violent televisions and movies, which are known to have substantial effect on aggression and violence. The first study involved 227 college students who completed a measure of trait aggressiveness and reported their actual aggressive behaviors in the recent past. They also reported their video game playing habits. Researchers found that 75% of the students who reported playing more violent video games in junior and high school engaged in more aggressive behavior. They also found that the amount of time spent playing video games in the past was associated with low academic grades in college, which is roughly 1.2 hours daily. There is also another study about this issue. A host of studies have examined the impact of playing violent video games on aggressive behavior. However, longitudinal research is rare, and existing studies have allowed little room for individual variability in the trajectories of violent video game play. The current study used a person-centered approach to examine trajectories, predictors, and outcomes of violent video game play over a 10-year period. So as you can see, I've made a pie chart about this. So there are three groups of individuals emerged. First, high initial violence, 4%, moderate, 23%, and low increases 73%. High initial violence and moderate groups showed a curvilinear pattern of violent video game play across times, whereas low increases group increased slightly in violent video game play across time. The high initial violence and moderate groups were more likely to be male, and those in the high initial violence group were more likely to be depressed at the initial wave. There was no difference in prosocial behavior at the final time point across all the three groups, but individuals in the moderate group displayed the highest levels of aggressive behavior at the final wave. But please bear in your mind that lower does not mean zero chance. Get it? Okay, relating to this topic, this is one of the pieces of evidence that I found that occurred on the year 2019. The gunman who killed 22 people and injured 24 others at a Walmart in El Paso, Texas on August 3rd made a fleeting reference to video game soldiers, indicating that he was familiar with video violence, and many politicians were quick to blame video games for this and other mass shootings. Yet it seems clear that the El Paso gunman was primarily motivated by ethnic hatred. His manifesto said the attack was a response to the Hispanic invasion of Texas. But still, his violent actions, are based on a violent soldier video games that he saw. So he acts according to it. After all, it does make sense that playing violent video games tends to increase the level of aggressive behavior. It will also result in more lethal violence or other criminal behaviors. So limit yourself in playing video games, especially the violent one. That's all from me. Thank you.